Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
A Wake County family is now without a home this morning after an overnight fire that also claimed the lives of their 4 pets. Just ahead, what we're learning from investigators here on the scene.
And it's a pleasant start out there this morning. Temperatures are in the mid-70s in the Triangle, but we started off with 60s in most places. The humidity is fairly low, but it's about to go up with some dangerous heat this weekend. I'll show you.
A massive fire overtook a local pallet business. How that community came together to help those crews who were working to contain that fire. With a lot of wood fueling that fire on all those pallets burning. I'm Jeff Hogan. It's good to have you with us here on our Wednesday.
And I'm Chris Levingill. What's also not helping, the dry conditions, the heat, definitely something that Elizabeth has been tracking very closely.
Yeah, we've had highs in the low 90s the last several days, but our humidity's been on the low side. I actually was fortunate enough to be outside under a tree yesterday evening around 5 o'clock or so, and it was surprisingly comfortable out there. We'll see that today and tomorrow, but after that, boy, we're going to see some big changes. Right now, it's 74 in the Triangle with a dew point of 63, so that is relatively comfortable. It feels even better if we can get it into the 50s, but this time of year we'll take 60s because it's about to head into the 70s for the weekend. Right now it is 71 in South Hill, 72 in Fayetteville, 71 Southern Pines. So as we're getting into the 8 o'clock hour, we're starting to warm up a little bit. Mid-80s at lunchtime. We'll see a high of 90 this afternoon, but again in the shade it should feel okay. We're definitely watching the tropics. We have potential tropical cyclone 1 sitting here with the 8 a.m. advisory just out, so it still hasn't changed over to a tropical storm yet. Winds at 40 miles per hour. It's likely to make landfall tonight in East Mexico, but also bring some heavy rain and storm surge to Texas. So we'll show you what people will be dealing with in Mexico and Texas coming up. We're going to be dealing with the hottest weekend that we've seen so far this year. Could put us in the danger zone. I'll show you what it'll feel like coming up. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, in the WRAL Traffic Center, we're seeing some congestion building on Fayetteville Road down there in Garner, Highway 401 to be exact. Not sure exactly what's going on. We're checking with our friends at 911 Wake to figure out exactly what's going on, and we'll let you know in the next few minutes or so, the next time we see you. We're also monitoring this crash here in the southbound lane of Capitol Boulevard near Calvary Drive, not causing any issues in the area, so just watch for some police activity if you have to navigate that area this morning. Elsewhere around the Triangle, boy, the Beltline just really getting congested this morning. The south side of the Beltline around Carytown Boulevard, we're seeing some brake tapping going on, but really the troubled spot is in the north side of the Beltline. You know what? Let's just take you out there, show you exactly what we're talking about. This is I-440 and Lake Boone Trail. The westbound lanes are coming toward us. The inner lanes are really staying on the Beltline. That outside far lane that's really backed up, those are the lanes that are trying to get onto I-40 westbound. So keep that in mind. If this is part of your morning commute, give yourself some extra time if you're about to head out. For those of you listening to us on the radio, we do appreciate that. You can do the same as well if you're heading out. 99.3 FM in Raleigh and 96.5 FM in Durham.
WRAL is following breaking news this morning. A family has lost 4 pets in a fire, and this happened at a home in Wake County. It's on Willow Spring on Shamera Court. And WRAL's Laura Levine is there live right now. Laura, thankfully, the family was able to get out, but it's sad to hear about their pets.
Absolutely, Chris. And firefighters spent several hours here at the scene. Behind me, you can see the damage to this home here. We have a Wake County deputy here parked outside of the home for safety reasons, but the house is a total loss. If you can see this neighbor's home here, the yellow house, you can see the blaze from the fire was so hot that it also melted the side of this home next door. The Fuquay-Varina Fire Department responded to this fire around 12:30 this morning. Flames began shooting through the home's roof, which later partially collapsed. The family was able to escape, as well as a cat and a dog. A neighbor tells me he immediately took the surviving cat to a vet. However, 4 other cats did not survive. Meanwhile, he tells me the family is staying with other relatives at this point, but again, we are told the house is a total loss. The fire began in the back of the house, but the question remains this morning, what exactly caused this fire? Well, that is what investigators are working throughout the day to figure out. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Willow Spring.
Another fire this morning, massive fire that kept firefighting teams busy into the early morning hours at a pallet business near I-95. The fire is out now, but authorities said that fire burned 10 to 15 acres of wooden pallets in a countryside area. It was first reported around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, a few miles east of Dunn. This is the third fire like this in that area in the past 6 years. Firefighters from 6 counties and the North Carolina Forestry Service all battled that fire. The community also came together to help, bringing out food and water for the crews. There were no reports of injuries.
Governor Roy Cooper will honor Juneteenth and its cultural significance with an official proclamation today. Cooper will be joined by Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff and other elected leaders for an event this morning in Raleigh. That gets started at 10:30. Emhoff will also be at a Juneteenth event today in Durham. He'll join Mayor Leonardo Williams and other local leaders for a barbecue lunch at noon.
You're going to want to pay close attention to your body and how it feels this week as those feel-like temperatures climb. Heat exhaustion can sneak up on you. Babies and older people age 65 and older, they're at greater risk of heat stroke. Their bodies don't regulate heat as well. Duke Associate Professor of Emergency Medicine says a key sign to watch for is if you or a loved one develops a fever.
So if someone is starting to sweat a lot, get really fatigued, maybe not acting like they normally act, they might be experiencing signs and symptoms of heat stroke. And so the best thing you can do is to get that person out of the heat and get them hydrated, as well as calling 911.
So if you have to be outside, the doctor says you gotta pre-hydrate before you head out and stay hydrated while you're out and take frequent breaks.
This morning, Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korea leader Kim Jong-un are strengthening their country's ties. This morning, Kim vowed his full support and solidarity for Russia during the war in Ukraine. The leaders signed an agreement to solidify their alignment. Putin says it includes a vow of mutual assistance if either nation is attacked. NBC News reports that the deal would send more military technology to North Korea in exchange for supplies that Russia's military badly needs on the battlefield.
Wake County Public School Board is taking steps to end hair discrimination in schools. Natural and so-called cultural hairstyles would be okay for students and employees under a new policy update. The board will consider final approval of it next month. The board also voted to continue its school resource officer contracts for next year. Some board members say they'd like to see more data on outcomes of SRO programs for students.
The company behind some of the biggest weight loss drugs in the world is planning a major expansion in Johnston County. Sources tell WRAL's NC Capital team that Danish drug maker Novo Nordisk is investing more than $1 billion in the county. Novo Nordisk is the maker of Ozempic and Wegovy. The company has been ramping up global manufacturing as demand for the drugs grows. The expansion is expected to create about 1,000 new jobs and pump $1.5 billion into Johnston County's economy. County leaders will meet Monday to talk about possible incentives connected to this deal.
And today is the last day a downtown Durham coffee shop will be open. The owner of BU Cafe says the last day of business on Main Street will be today. BU's other locations will not be affected by this. Hundreds of folks, the regulars, are expected to stop by today to support it on its last day. The owner says high parking rates, construction, and remote work resulted in a drop in activity at that Durham location.
UNC's baseball season has come to an end in the College World Series. The Heels came up just a little short in their elimination game against Florida State yesterday in Omaha. The Seminoles won the game 9-5. And NC State's baseball team is back home in Raleigh after their incredible run to the College World Series. Dozens of fans greeted the team bus yesterday to celebrate their season. The Wolfpack were eliminated with a loss to Florida on Monday, but they tried, Jeff, they tried.
Just about 10 after 8 on our Wednesday. Coming up, one of the greatest baseball players of all time has passed away. How Willie Mays is being remembered in his home state of Alabama.
Plus, 200-year-old cherries dug up from George Washington's mansion, and they were perfectly preserved. Hear how archaeologists even made that discovery.
And a nice Juneteenth for us. We'll see a hot afternoon with a high of 90, but a relatively low humidity. Looking at a big change over the weekend, though. The first real dangerous heat wave that we've seen this year. I'll show you what it will feel like with the heat index.
Look at you, Warrington. You thought we forgot about you. No, we did not. Here is a live look this morning on a beautiful Juneteenth day this Wednesday as you're waking up watching WRAL News. Available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or your streaming device. Today, obviously, the heat is one big thing that we're watching. But Elizabeth, you're also looking at that tropic situation.
Yeah, we continue to watch what's happening here in the Gulf of Mexico, or the Bay of Campeche, which is here on the southern end of the Gulf of Mexico. And this is where we've had a potential tropical cyclone. And the reason that it's not actually a tropical tropical storm is it doesn't have a closed circulation. So if it gets a closed circulation before it makes landfall, it will be Tropical Storm Alberto, the first one of the season. But it's still going to count as our first storm of the season because the only difference here, I mean, it has winds at 40 miles per hour, which would be strong enough to make it a tropical storm. But without that closed circulation, it won't get that name. It is likely to make landfall this evening. It will not end up making a big difference in terms of the impact. The biggest impact is going to be rain. Right here is a very mountainous region of Mexico, and so a lot of flooding and potential mudslides. Also up into Texas, storm surge. We do have a tropical storm warning in effect for much of the coast of Texas, even over toward Louisiana. Storm surge 3 to 4 feet, and they have outer banks in Texas just like we do. They have those barrier islands, and so those are very low elevation. So 3 to 4 feet of storm surge can cause some major problems. Also in Texas, as much as 5 to 10 inches of rain in South Texas, and in parts of Mexico, we could see as much as 10 to 15 inches of rain. Not only that, but it may be followed by another system. There's a 30% chance that another one will develop here in the Bay of Campeche, and a wave develops potentially off the coast of the southeast. Here's a look at number one, moving inland with plenty of rain. That rain is likely to last through, say, Thursday or Friday. At that point, we'll also see this wave coming off of the Atlantic, bringing some rain to South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, but unlikely to bring us any rain. It will increase our humidity, however. And then here's system number two there in the Bay of Campeche over the weekend. It's going to bring some heavy rain to the same place that's going to see rain for today and tomorrow. So that's not going to be great news for folks in that spot. Now we're looking at some pretty weather this morning. Temperatures have been on the cooler side with low humidity. It's pretty there in Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant, and of course our newsroom there in Fayetteville. But everything changes over the weekend. Our heat index, oh, look at that. It just went up above 108. We just got the new advisory. So feeling like 104 on Saturday, 109 on Sunday. No rain in our forecast until late Sunday into Monday. So a lot of heat in our forecast for the weekend. There could be heat advisories. We'll let you know if the Weather Service issues those. Our next best chance of rain comes on Monday. That cold front, however, is not going to help our temperature situation much. Mid-90s Monday and then back to 99 again on Tuesday. We're going to talk more about what it will feel like and what our dangers will be over the weekend. Coming up.
Elizabeth, we can't wait for that rain. So listen, hey, good morning, everybody. Listen, we're seeing some congestion building for some reason down around the Fayetteville Road 401. Old Stage Road comes into that area right now. We're not sure exactly what's going on. We've got some calls into our friends at WRAL 911 to figure out exactly what's causing this congestion there in the northbound lanes of 401. As soon as I know, of course, I will let you know. We're also monitoring this crash that's they just cleared. As I walked out here from the computer to come here, this was on Capitol Boulevard near Calvary Drive. That's cleared. You can see no problems to report in that vicinity. Elsewhere around the triangle this morning, we're seeing the usual congestion building on the Beltline. There's the south side of the Beltline near the Jones Franklin Road exit there in Cary. Also on the northern part of the Beltline, we're seeing a little bumper-to-bumper traffic. Let me show you exactly what that means. Really and truly, it's a far lane, those lanes trying to get onto I-40 westbound, and you can see right now it's clearing up quite a bit since we've been talking in the last couple of minutes.
And it's happening right now in the WRAL Live Center. Some really sad news. 9 people are dead. At least 40 people are injured after a fire set off explosions at a military ammunition depot in the West African nation of Chad. This is video from the BBC showing the explosion here. The blast started just before midnight as nearby buildings shook and ammunition was thrown from the depot at explosive force. The explosions lit up the sky. People living in that area panicked. They thought they were under attack. They say the situation has been brought under control. The cause of this fire is not clear. But again, so far, 9 people have died.
One of baseball's all-time greatest players died. Willie Mays. He died yesterday at the age of 93. Kurt Gregory takes a look at his life.
Power, speed, and the smile of a champion. But perhaps the finest moment in Willie Mays' career came with his back turned to the camera. The Say Hey Kid was born in Westfield, Alabama in 1931. He began playing professional baseball at 16 and got the call to play in the major leagues for the New York Giants just 4 years later.
You can see that all the ingredients of being a star was there.
He won Rookie of the Year honors that season and the hearts of New York fans with his sensational play and sparkling personality. But when the Giants moved west to San Francisco in 1958, the flashy center fielder struggled to gain fan support, despite stellar performances on the field. He ultimately returned to New York, playing his last 2 seasons in a Mets uniform.
Willie, say goodbye to America. Thank you very much.
When Willie Mays ended his career in 1973, he had won 2 Most Valuable Player awards, 12 Gold Gloves, and was part of 24 All-Star games. In 1979, Mays took his place among the all-time greats in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And when the San Francisco Giants opened their new ballpark in 2000, Willie Mays was memorialized as the greatest player in the history of the franchise.
That was Kurt Gregory reporting.
The famous basket catch, right? Today, a mural honoring Willie Mays will be dedicated in his home state of Alabama. This was already planned well before his death. It comes a day before a game in Birmingham between the San Francisco Giants and St. Louis Cardinals to honor the Negro Leagues. Mays started his career in the Negro Leagues before joining the Giants, where he played for 20 years.
2 separate wildfires in Northern California are forcing people to leave their homes. You're looking at video right now of the Arrow Fire. It has burned more than 5,000 acres. See that orange and reddish hue in the sky, the flames right here? Officials say thousands of businesses and homes are at risk. Meanwhile, firefighters in Southern California are increasing their containment of wildfires that have burned more than 15,000 acres.
Several new developments in a story the WRAL Investigates team broke during this newscast Monday night. Our team discovered Harlan Fry, the Human Resources Director for the State Department of Revenue, was caught on camera getting arrested on a charge of arranging a meeting with a child for lewd purposes. This YouTube video shows a man confronting Harlan Fry at a Hyatt hotel in Long Beach, California, and asking him some questions. The same man you can see in this state-issued photo. Now, in the video, Fry says the person he was supposed to meet with was a 15-year-old, and he may have wanted to engage him in sex. At the end of the video, police arrive, they ask him some questions, and then put him in handcuffs.
But I did say some things I shouldn't have said. Yeah, I just shouldn't have done it.
Long Beach police wrote in a statement the preliminary investigation indicates suspect Fry arranged a meeting with a minor being portrayed by a cyber vigilante for lewd purposes. Fry has since been released. He was fired last week on Monday, 1 day after that arrest.
New this morning, we are hearing from the CEO of Boom Supersonic. This is the first time we've heard from him since the company opened its manufacturing plant in North Carolina this week. The jet maker is slated to bring nearly 2,500 jobs to the Triad. The new facility will be the location of where the new Overture aircraft will be built. It'll provide a faster than the speed of sound travel. CEO Blake Scholl says that it'll be years before the first jet will be complete.
From 3 years from literally our first visit to North Carolina, we now have the factory built and its doors opening, and it's going to be another roughly 3, maybe 4 years before we see that first beautiful supersonic airliner roll out of those hangar doors. First test flight, probably about 4 to 5 years, and then our goal is to be ready for passengers by the end of the decade.
So it could be a while before we actually do see that plane actually roll off. A big congratulations to the Carolina Mudcats. This was their celebration last night when they clinched the first half championship in the Carolina League's North Division. The league's playoff pit divisional winners from the first and the second halves of the season against each other. So the Mudcats already know they will be playing postseason baseball come September, Jeff.
A rematch between 2 of the biggest rookies in the WNBA made history over the weekend. These names, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, squared off again on Sunday and averaged nearly 2.3 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA game in 23 years, CBS's most watched WNBA game ever. And both women played well. Reese had double figures in rebounds and points for the 6th time this year, tied for the most ever by a rookie. Clark had a great game, what experts say her best of the season. The Fever, they won. They're now 2-0 against the Sky this season, and that's the bottom line for them. We don't have to wait long for another showdown. The two will be back in action against each other this Sunday afternoon. Getting spicy between them.
Getting spicy. So this may make you rethink the fruit going bad in your fridge. A team of archaeologists discovered centuries-old cherries preserved in the cellar of George Washington's Mount Vernon mansion in Virginia. They dug up the bottle of cherries and berries in May, some of them entirely still intact. The team believes that the bottles predate 1775 and they might have never made the discovery if not for a $40 million revitalization project of that mansion.
Cherries remain. There we go. Coming up, we are keeping our eyes on Triangle area swimmers as they compete for spots on Team USA. We'll tell you who's competing today, and the NC State athletes who has likely secured her spot did so last night. Back with more news, weather, and traffic next.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
8:26, the time right now on our Wednesday morning. I'm Jeff Hogan. Elizabeth Gardner over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Temperatures around town right now.
Yeah, looking good out there. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s for the most part. We've had fairly low humidity and blue sky with some high thin cloud cover. The winds are pretty calm. Not much happening there at the Whirligig Park in Wilson. Mostly sunny there in Durham and Fayetteville. Temperatures, as I mentioned, in the low to mid 70s. 71 in Tarboro right now. 72 Fayetteville. 73 in South Hill. We started very comfortable in the low to mid 60s. We're starting to warm up now. Expect mid 80s at lunchtime, and our high temperature for this Juneteenth will be around 90. And we'll see dry conditions. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're getting reports of Raleigh police working this crash right now on Sunnybrook Road and Pool Road, not far from the Beltline. We checked our sensors, not causing any problems in the area. It's probably off to the side of the road, so just watch for some police activity in that area. Elsewhere around the Triangle, we're seeing the usual backups that we see this time of morning on the Beltline. Things are really beginning to thin out on the south side of the Beltline, but just a little bit of brake tapping going on the north side of the Beltline around the Lake Boone Trail area.
A massive fire kept crews busy into the early morning hours at a pallet business in Sampson County. Authorities say the fire started about 4 p.m. yesterday and burned 10 to 15 acres of those wooden pallets. Firefighters from 6 counties and the NC Forestry Service swarmed in to battle that fire. No one was injured. A man who prompted an hours-long standoff in North Raleigh is in the hospital after he was shot by a deputy. Wake County Sheriff's Office says the man refused to obey an eviction notice, and when they tried to remove him, a deputy fired his gun. Wake County Sheriff's Office and the SBI are investigating. Next on Fox 50, what's closed and what's open in the Triangle this Juneteenth? And up next on Today, Austin Butler is live in Studio 1A.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Right now at 8:30, a family escaped an early morning house fire, but 4 of their pets sadly did not. This morning, we are taking you to that aftermath as investigators explain what they think started all this.
And fairly comfortable this morning. Temperatures were in the 60s, climbing into the 70s with relatively low humidity. I'll show you how much warmer it will be this afternoon and when the really intense heat arrives.
And today is Juneteenth. How communities in our area are celebrating and what's closed in observance of the holiday. A lot of stuff going on today. A lot of parties, a lot of celebrations. We'll get to those in just a second. Thanks for joining us this morning on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for making us part of your Wednesday here. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. I'm noticing these dew points and the temperatures they're colliding almost.
Yeah, in a good way today and then in a bad way over the weekend. We take a live look at Franklinton this morning. We're seeing some cloud cover, but a lot of blue sky out there. We're going to see a warm afternoon right now in the Triangle. Temperatures are in the mid 70s, but the dew point temperature is in the low 60s, and so that makes it feel fairly comfortable. Now, don't get me wrong, it is going to be hot, but when our dew point climbs up into the low 70s, that's when it feels extremely hot. That's what we're going to see over the weekend. 68 in Roxborough now, 73 Goldsboro, 71 Southern Pines, 72 in Fayetteville, mid 80s at lunchtime, and we'll see a high of 90 this afternoon. Now, yesterday, when our high was 90 with our low humidity, I was in the shade in the hottest part of the day, and it still felt fairly comfortable. So expect that again today. But again, big changes over the weekend. We're watching potential tropical cyclone 1 there in the Gulf of Mexico. It will make landfall tonight in Mexico, but also bringing some heavy rain to Texas as well as Mexico, some flooding potential. I'll show you how much rain they'll see coming up, and I'll show you how hot it will be for us this weekend, likely to be the hottest that we've seen so far this year. Ken?
Elizabeth, all new in the WRAL Traffic Center, we're getting reports of a couple of lanes blocked on Highway 85 in the southbound lane. You can see the heavy congestion congestion there as a result of this crash. It just came on our sensors. We're working to find out exactly what's going on there. You can probably take Highway 15 as an alternate route to maybe get around this, but we'll keep an eye on this and keep you posted here in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're also keeping an eye on this crash, not really a serious crash, a minor crash, so to speak, near Sunnybrook Road and Pool Road, not causing any problems in the area, probably off to the side of the road. Just keep that in mind. We keep monitoring this congestion that's building on Fayetteville Road down there in Garner. The Old Stage Road is not far from that. I mean, an alternate route to avoid this coming into the capital city, you could probably take Lake Wheeler Road, and that'll get you back on track. But we'll keep an eye on that congestion that continues to build there. Elsewhere around the Triangle and surrounding communities in Durham, other than the 85 situation in northern Durham, all the major routes are delay-free this morning.
A heartbreaking story we have been following in the overnight hours. A family lost 4 pets in a fire that left their home badly damaged. This fire happened in Willow Spring at a home on Chimera Court. It's in southern Wake County, and WRAL's Laura Levine tells us that fire was so hot it melted the siding on the neighbor's house.
Firefighters spent more than 5 hours putting out the flames here at this home in Willow Spring. You can see some of the damage here. There is a Wake County Sheriff deputy parked outside of the home for safety reasons. But I really want to point your attention to this yellow home next door. We're told the blaze from this fire was so hot that it melted the side of this house next door. Fuquay Arena firefighters responded to this home around 12:30 this morning. Flames began shooting through the home's roof, which later partially collapsed. The family was able to escape the fire, as well as a cat and a dog. A neighbor tells me he immediately took the surviving cat to a vet. Sadly, 4 other cats did not survive. Meanwhile, the family is staying with other relatives right now. We are told this home is a total loss. The fire began at the back of the house, but investigators are still working to determine what caused it. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Willow Spring.
And another fire this morning, a massive one that kept firefighters busy into the early morning hours. This is a pallet business right near I-95. This fire is out now. Authorities said the fire burned 10 to 15 acres of those wooden pallets in a countryside area. It was first reported around 4 yesterday afternoon, a few miles east of Dunn. This marks the 3rd fire like this in that area in the past 6 years. Firefighters from 6 counties, as well as the NC Forestry Service, battled that fire. The community also came together and helped. They brought food and water out for those crews. There are no reports of injuries.
Today is Juneteenth, and the federal holiday commemorates June 19th, 1865. That is the day that enslaved black people in Texas learned they were free 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was given. Many celebrations are happening today across the area to honor this day. A celebration is happening at Chavis Park in Raleigh. That is from 1 to 4 this afternoon. Durham's West End neighborhood will host a celebration from 11 to 3 today. That is at Carroll Street Park. And then Fayetteville's Lewis Chapel Missionary Baptist Church will have an event tonight from 5 to 9. Juneteenth is the newest federal holiday, and you may be wondering what is open and what's closed today. Well, post offices and most banks will be closed, but ATMs and online banking, that will still be available. Wake County offices will be closed, including libraries, but parks and solid waste centers, they will be open. Fayetteville government offices and most of Durham County offices will also be closed today. Most grocery stores and restaurants will stay open, but it's a good idea to maybe call ahead and ask.
A man who prompted an hours-long standoff in North Raleigh is in the hospital now because authorities say a deputy shot him. Neighbors were evacuated from their homes on Water Oak Drive, just off North New Hope Road, for hours during the standoff. It started around 10:45 in the morning, and the Wake County Sheriff's Office says the man refused to obey an eviction order. Now, deputies tried to get that man out for nearly 7 hours before entering the apartment about 5:30. And as they tried to remove that man, a deputy fired his gun. The man was seriously hurt. Wake County Sheriff's Office and the SBI are investigating that shooting.
At least one person is dead as a result of fast-growing wildfires in New Mexico. Thousands of people have evacuated their homes and at least 500 structures have been damaged. The South Fork Fire and the Salt Fire are both burning near the village of Ruidoso. Fire officials are hoping that rain expected tonight could help with the flames.
Town Council in Garner has approved nearly $50,000 to clean up tornado damage from late last year. People living in Garner are still cleaning up in the aftermath of the EF1 tornado that touched down in December of last year. Town Council unanimously approved more than $47,000 to help. Town officials want to start the cleanup work this month and have it finished in August.
This morning, we'll hear from the new general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes for the first time. Eric Tolsky is holding a news conference that is at 10 a.m. He took over for Don Waddell in an interim role just a couple of weeks ago. Waddell resigned after the Canes were eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs. And Tolsky spent the last 4 seasons as the Hurricanes assistant general manager, and he has been with the organization for 10 years.
Tonight at the Team USA swimming trials, Olympic veteran Ashley Twitchell, who lives in Cary, will compete in the women's 1,500-meter freestyle final. Holly Springs native Andrew Capobianco competed with his partner Quentin Henniger last night in the men's 3-meter synchronized final. They came in second place, unfortunately not making it to the Paris team. Back in 2021, Capobianco took home the silver medal in Tokyo with Mike Hickson as his partner in the men's synchronized swim springboard. And for the women, NC State's Catherine Burkhoff competed in the 100-meter backstroke. She finished second, so that will likely send her to Paris. Swimmer Reagan Smith broke the world record in the women's 100-meter last night in the backstroke. That took the top spot. The Olympic swimming trials continue through Sunday. You can catch all the excitement on WRAL.
The Edmonton Oilers are not letting the Stanley Cup final end without a fight. They forced a Game 6 in the series with a 5-3 win over the Florida Panthers last night. The Oilers have now won 2 games in a row after losing the first 3 games of the series. They'll have a chance to tie it up when they host Game 6 Friday night.
Coming up, Boeing CEO was grilled on Capitol Hill after a series of malfunctions on his planes that his company makes. How Dave Calhoun addressed the family members of Boeing 737 MAX people killed and on the allegations of acting against whistleblowers.
And after safety concerns, the United States is no longer inspecting avocados from a key Mexican state. The situation that has led the government to make this decision.
And we'll give you this live look right now in the Bull City. Good morning, Durham. Shaping up to be another hot day, and Elizabeth Gardner will tell us when we may see some rain chances in the next week or so.
8:42. Take a live look at Durham right now. We have sunshine, just a little bit of cloud cover, very similar to the sky conditions that we saw yesterday. Just some high, thin clouds, partly cloudy from time to time. 74 is our temperatures. You're heading out the door at the light east wind, mid-80s by lunchtime, and we will hit 90. Today's going to feel very much like yesterday, which means that finding a cool spot will be feeling good. Thank you so much to Candace Blake, our weather watcher near Durham, for sending us this beautiful black-necked swan. I've never seen one before. Really beautiful. And the swan has the right idea. You're going to want to find a cool space today. But of course, even worse, we're going to see so much heat as we get into the weekend. So we'll take a closer look at that in a few minutes. But thank you. If you've got pictures you'd like to send us, go to WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers, and you can upload some photos. 90 degrees for today, tomorrow, and Fayetteville, 91. Yesterday, I was out under a tree at, say, 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and it still felt really comfortable. So with the dew point being fairly low, it's not bad out there. And our temperature today is close to normal, just a couple of degrees from our normal high. You can see the blue shaded area. That's where temperatures are cooler than normal. Lots of that in the northwest. As a matter of fact, I was just looking. There's been snow in some of the big national parks, several inches of it in the last 24 to 48 hours. Well, the eastern part of the country is dealing with some pretty intense heat. We've had heat advisories, even extreme heat warnings in some places. You can see how our temperature goes up. We get back into the oranges by the weekend. Right now, our dew point is sitting at 63, which keeps us tolerable, but we'll end up at tropical by the time we get to Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and that's going to make it feel even hotter than it really is. Now, already temperatures will be near records. The record high for Saturday and Sunday is 100. 98 Saturday, 99 Sunday will be very close to records. Here's what's been happening in the northeast. You can see the orange shaded area, heat advisories there, excessive heat warnings in the purple, and we'll see that starting to slide down into our area area by the weekend. Our normal high is 88, so we'll be 10 degrees above that Saturday and 11 degrees above it on Sunday. And then when you figure in the heat index, 104 on Saturday, it's likely to feel like 109 or so on Sunday. 110 would put us in an excessive heat warning. At 105, 104 or hotter, we'd be under a heat advisory, and that's certainly a good possibility. Already, we've seen 9 days at 90 or hotter. The average for June is 10, and so most likely we'll end up with more 90-degree days than we normally see. It doesn't look like we're going to see much of a change anytime soon. We're above normal through the end of June, according to the Climate Prediction Center. Monday will bring us our best chance for rain this week with a few showers and storms, but it's still going to be hot by Tuesday at 97. Ken?
Elizabeth, at 8:45, we're following some breaking news over in northern Durham. This is a crash that's shutting down a couple of lanes on I-85 in the southbound lanes not far from Gear Street. You can see the first responders right there beneath the bridge. You can see the flashing lights. You can see the State Highway Patrol shutting down those couple of lanes there to work that crash. We're trying to get some more information about it, and we'll keep you posted, of course, online and in our newscast. This is what it looks like on our sensors. You can see that causing quite a bit of backup. I would recommend getting off on Gear Street, working your way over to Camden Avenue. That'll get you around this, forgive me, this slowdown and help you get back on track there on I-85 South. So just keep that in mind. Also around the triangle, we're seeing the usual congestion building on the Beltline, that northern section of the Beltline around the Wade Avenue split right there. But things have definitely thinned out on the south side of the Beltline, which is good news this hour.
Ken, thank you. The CEO of Boeing was grilled on Capitol Hill 6 months after that door plug failure on a jet made by the company. Dave Calhoun apologized to the family members of Boeing 737 MAX victims during a Senate panel hearing yesterday. Then he admitted the company has taken action against whistleblowers. Lawmakers also questioned Calhoun's salary, $33 million, in the face of all the safety concerns. Calhoun previously announced plans to retire before the end of the year. His successor, though, has not been named.
The mother of a former Fort Liberty soldier who was shot and killed at a Cumberland County car wash is urging whoever is responsible to come forward. Authorities say on June 4th, 24-year-old Lamarvian McKinnon was shot several times on Deaver Circle, just outside Hope Mills. Kiesel Gilchrist says her son was going to be a father later this month. Investigators say they want to bring a man in for questioning about the crime, but no one has been charged yet.
I just want justice. I want them to turn themselves in. Everybody that's involved, they need to talk. That's all I want. I don't want no revenge. I don't want nobody hurt behind this.
Yeah, that man is the one person still wanted for questioning in the case.
A Black Health Expo is happening today in Raleigh as part of Juneteenth observances. It's happening at Gethsemane Seventh-day Adventist Church. That's on Sanderford Road. You can get health screenings and tests, too. There will be fun activities and food trucks as well. And that runs from 10 to 2.
Sanford will celebrate Juneteenth today with a program at W.B. Wicker Elementary School. It gets started at 6. A Juneteenth cookout is set for Robbins Heights Park in Rayford from 6 to 9 tonight. Duke Gardens will have a special edition of its Music in the Garden event at 7 o'clock tonight. And there'll be a party in the park at Hub RTP in Morrisville from noon to 2 today.
It appears the Biden administration will move forward with a new weapons deal for Israel. It's believed to be the biggest weapons package in history for Israel. 2 key congressional Democrats were holding up the deal. It's expected to be worth $18 billion and includes 50 fighter jets. The lawmakers decided to give the deal the approval after talks with the administration. The new package comes as President Biden is putting increased pressure on Israel to end its war in Gaza.
The temporary pier system used to deliver aid to Gaza will reopen soon. It opened in mid-May, but the pier has been plagued by problems and shutdowns. U.S. officials dismantled that pier on Friday because of concerns heavy seas could damage it again. So far, the pier has been used to get more than 7.5 million pounds of aid to that area. Today's second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, is in the Triangle marking Juneteenth. He'll join Governor Roy Cooper for a block party in Raleigh this morning, 10:30. And then at noon, he'll join community leaders in Durham for a barbecue lunch. It comes one day after Emhoff was in Durham to talk about lead contamination in water. Emhoff joined Durham's mayor to visit workers who were testing equipment for lead pipes. They announced grant money to put towards dealing with the issue. Second gentleman also visited Lyons Farm Elementary and said every water fountain at schools across our state will be tested for lead. We've also learned President Biden will be coming to Raleigh the day after the presidential debate later this month. He'll be here June 28th.
The U.S. government has paused inspections on avocados and mango shipments from one Mexican state. It comes after 2 employees of the U.S. Agricultural Department were assaulted and temporarily held by attackers. That's according to the U.S. ambassador to Mexico. The assault reportedly happened in southwest Mexico. A Mexican produce association says the attack isn't connected to avocados, but reports say organized crime often tries to illegally bring avocados past U.S. inspectors. Mexico says it is working with the U.S. to restart the inspections.
Stellantis is recalling more than 1 million cars because of a software glitch that disables the rear view camera. The cars that are affected include several different SUVs, trucks, and vans under the Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Ram brands. Some good news, though, the online recall can be done at home. Drivers have to accept a software update on their media dashboard for the repair to go through. Stellantis says it has no reports of any injuries or crashes.
Time is running out for candidates who want to join Presidents Joe Biden and Donald Trump on the debate stage this week. CNN says candidates have until midnight tomorrow to meet the requirements to participate in the June 27th debate. That includes getting at least 15% support in 4 separate national polls. Independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has that support in 3 polls. He's also likely to fall short of the criteria for having ballot access in enough states.
We're getting a look at Justin Timberlake's mugshot after he was arrested for DWI on Long Island. The pop star was arrested in Sag Harbor yesterday morning after police say he drove through a stop sign and didn't stay on the right side of the road. Police say Timberlake had a strong odor of alcohol on his breath. He did poorly on all the sobriety tests and refused to do a breath test. Dramatic moments outside an Ohio hospital. A first responder jumped onto the side of a stolen ambulance. Look at this. He tried to stop the man who was behind the wheel. It happened in a suburb of Cleveland over the weekend. You see the paramedic just clinging to the side of that ambulance as it speeds away.
So yeah, I was like leaning in the actual window, like on my belly, and my legs were hanging out. So I was trying to wiggle all the way in just because, you know, in the moment I was like, if this guy crashes, I'm going to get beat up pretty bad.
It was a pretty dangerous situation. The thief did end up crashing right there into the hospital's helicopter landing pad. First responder suffered minor injuries to his ankle and arm. The man who drove off in the ambulance is now facing charges.
The summer solstice is coming tomorrow. It'll be the earliest it's happened in nearly 230 years. The solstice is the moment the sun reaches its highest point in the sky in the year. It'll happen tomorrow at 4:50 in the afternoon and coincides with the longest day of the year. Ariana Grande is responding to a video where she changes her voice. It goes from deep to high-pitched mid-interview. Thousands commented on the video saying it proves that Grande puts on a fake voice. Listen.
I was like, what has happened? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I've been writing a lot, and maybe there's some more.
Her own comment saying this is a technique she uses for her vocal health. It's not fake.
Netflix is looking to move from the digital world to a real one. The company is set to open massive entertainment venues called Netflix houses in Dallas and Philadelphia. Inside these places, visitors will find elaborate experiences, themed gift shops, and restaurants based on Netflix content. It includes the Glass Bridge Challenge from the series Squid Game.
Nintendo dropped some surprises yesterday for fans. A new Legend of Zelda game releases this fall and allows you to play as Zelda. Typically, players control the protagonist, Link, but this time you'll solve puzzles as the princess in Echoes of Wisdom. Nintendo also showed the first gameplay of the upcoming title, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and a new Mario and Luigi role-playing game. All these titles are for the Nintendo Switch, but still no news yet on the consoles coming out after the Switch, but we could know more about that by April next year.
All right, before we head off to break, your winning lottery numbers here from the NC Education Lottery. We'll get another check on weather and traffic for you straight ahead.